Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 381 for January 28th, 2025. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the matchup is set for Super Bowl 59. Only one NFL head coaching vacancy remains open, and the Denver Broncos are making a big commitment to Colorado high school football programs. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
You know, when you told me that we're not making a lot of money with this YouTube thing, I walk into your place and I see a couple of bathrooms getting redone. I'm starting to get suspicious that all of our World of Football money is getting funneled into your home renovation.
Well, this is the address for the World of Football, company.
Oh.
So, yeah, you got to keep the company going.
Oh, but your employees, though, don't get a dime. I see how this operation's run.
You have to get a dime to be an employee. All right. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the great game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thank you for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the description of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo, or use the handle @The World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You'll find over 500 videos on our YouTube channel, including our weekly NFL picks video for the conference finals last week, and our upcoming video for our Super Bowl picks.
Yeah, that's like not till next week, though, we're going to do that. So essentially, we're going to have a week off of videos. This is probably the only thing that's going to go up, unless I got a video I've been working on or writing, so I haven't recorded it yet, but we'll see how that goes.
But since the Super Bowl is the only thing we got left, and if people want to start sending us their predictions,
I guess I have to put that post up in the community tab. And obviously we're in person. We're not doing it over Zoom this week or whatever. So I'm feeling better. The house is doing a little better, so we figured it was safe to get back together. Okay. Trying to think what else we got coming. I'm sure Kyle and I will do a Just Lying Around at some point. With the doing our best awards for the Lions for the season. Season review, yeah, something like that, especially after the Pro Bowl games are this weekend, which I don't care about.
I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, hard to I don't know if I'll sit down and watch any of it, but we'll see. It'll be something to talk about next week.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football, and we're going to start off this week in the NFL.
That's right. It was the NFL Conference Championship games this weekend. It started on Sunday afternoon with the NFC Championship game, which saw the Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Washington Commanders 55-23. This is definitely more of a blowout than I expected. I thought I picked the Commanders to win with our weekly picks. So sorry to our friend Mike and my buddy Todd at work. Your Commanders just didn't have it that day. But again, it goes to show you in the playoffs, turnovers are killer. Yeah. And that was the biggest thing for me watching the Commanders. Is if they didn't have some of those turnovers, it would have been a lot closer of a game.
What did it have, 3 or 4 turnovers?
It was a lot. I don't remember at the top of my head. It was at least 3 or 4.
Which is unusual because, they didn't have any the week before against Detroit.
In the entire playoffs, they had no turnovers. Yeah. So, and then all of a sudden, it just sloppy play. I don't know if it was nerves or if the Eagles were just that much better. And I still, even after watching the Eagles beat down, I'm just thinking they're Saquon Barkley. They're that offensive line. And a decent, really good defense. But I'm not impressed with anybody else on that team. Yeah. I just don't know what to make of this Eagles team. They could very much, they're in the Super Bowl. So, right. Can't say too much negative about them. They made it. They're in the Super Bowl.
For the second time in 3 years.
For the second time in 3 years, yeah. Very good squad. A lot of good guys or players on that team. So I think the addition of Saquon Barkley
that made all the difference.
He has been unreal. He had 3 touchdowns during the game, I want to say.
In the first half, I think.
Was it the first half?
I think so.
Man, he was just something else. I think he's an awesome player. Obviously, he had the 2,000-yard season this year. he's just been the answer that Philly needed to get him over the hump, and we'll see if he'll be enough to help him win a Super Bowl title this year.
Yeah, I think I started this game around halftime. It was already halftime. You know, I think they were already up 21-15 or something like that. So I was busy doing other stuff during the first part, but yeah, I watched some, and the second game I watched some of that too, but not all of it.
Yeah, I watched most of both of these games. The Eagles game, once it kind of started getting away from them at the end, it was like watching a train wreck. It was just hard to look away. And eventually, I think with a couple minutes left, I was like, all right, the Eagles got it. I think they were putting in backups. Even the Commanders put in backups. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to flip it over. It's done. I don't need to watch a championship ceremony. Because, all day I kept thinking about, like, this should be in Ford Field. It should be at Detroit.
Yeah.
All that, kept going through my mind. I was a little depressed. I wasn't even sure if I was going to watch the game. But because I was like, I don't want to hear him mention the Lions' names. I don't want to see any highlights from the Lions game. But I did it. It's done. It's over. I'm not saying, I'm over it, but I'm just saying it's far enough now that I can be like, it's done. Super Bowl's here.
Well, when Detroit lost last week, it was devastating for us and for all Lions fans. But now that more teams have lost, because there's only one winner every year. So now that more teams that a lot of people expected to make it to the Super Bowl, the Commanders and the Bills, all those fan bases are hurting also because their team fell short of their expectations. And so I don't feel as bad now. And it still stings that we lost the way we did.
Yeah.
5 turnovers and all. But, misery loves company. So we've got more fan bases that are miserable because their team that they expected to go all the way this year didn't do it either.
Speaking of miserable fan bases, I guess then let's transition to the AFC game and talk about how the Kansas City Chiefs, for the 7th straight year, hosted or playing in an AFC championship game. And for the 3rd straight year now, they have won and advanced to the Super Bowl. They beat the Buffalo Bills 32-29. Hard to bet against the Chiefs, but we thought the Bills could do it. And again, the Bills just, for whatever reason, the Chiefs are the Bills' kryptonite.
Yeah,
four times in the playoffs now that they have fallen to the Chiefs.
Yep.
And I feel bad for our Bills friends because I definitely thought the Bills had it to an extent. And a lot of people want to complain about the referees. I don't know. You watched the game. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. In the Bills game, I didn't watch it all, from start to finish. I caught it here and there. I didn't see that many penalties that I thought, well, that's a bad call or whatever.
It wasn't just penalties. It was just missed calls. Like there was a 4th and 1 that I thought Josh Allen did get, but they said he was short of the line, which makes no sense to me. Unless you call that on the field, and then when you look at some of the replays, it's hard to tell because there's bodies in the way.
They probably just let the call on the field stand.
But what was weird about that particular one, it was later in the game. They had one referee say he got it, and then a second referee came in and said he didn't have it. So it was just like, I don't know, your conspiracy theorists out there, throw the tinfoil hat on, like, oh, this one ref got overruled by the NFL. Like, I don't believe that for a second. I think it was just a bad call. But the Bills, you got to take a couple of they were bad, and I think the Bills did get the wrong end of it in those couple of instances. Because there's also the catch that hit the ground that shouldn't have been called a catch, I think, that they gave to the Chiefs that led to a touchdown.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that was like both the receiver and the defender caught the ball at the same time, but then the ball hit the ground, but they awarded it to the Chiefs still. And even on replay, the ball hits the ground and probably should have been called incomplete, but so that led to a Chiefs touchdown. So I don't know, a couple of bad calls, and bad calls happen. What we always have to say is it's easy to blame the officials, but there's more than just those couple of plays. Like, to me, I won't say Josh Allen folded under pressure, but they made some weird calls where the announcers kept saying it too. Like, oh, whenever Josh Allen does his quarterback sneak or their version of the tush push, he goes to the left guard. Okay, if we can see that on TV, Buffalo Bills, then why don't you do something different? Because the Chiefs would obviously know what you tend to do. So I don't know. It was just they relied on that tush push a little too much. And I heard, I want to say it was Colin Cowherd kind of point out too that like they telegraphed what they were going to do on their 2-point conversion. Like, oh, they already saw that tush push early in the game. So when they went to do it again on the 2-point conversion, the Chiefs were on top of it. But when the Chiefs would do a 2-point conversion or, they'd run a play that you haven't seen all game. they would do something that you're just like, where'd they come up with that?
Yeah.
Or a guy who hasn't touched the ball at all game long, gets the ball, and he's the one that makes the play. So I think they just got out-coached, and Patrick Mahomes just had his best game of the season. I think the stat was he averaged like 4 rushes a game all year. Had 11 rushes in this game. So they, in these moments of pressure with the Chiefs, they just overcome, like, okay, yeah, that's what we do during the season. Like, okay, average 4 rushes, or they've scored less than 30 points like all season. I don't think they broke the 30-point mark at all season long. And they did that in this game too. They crossed 30 points. Patrick Mahomes ran it 11 times. So they know when to get uncharacteristic in these spots. And I think that's what makes them such a good and well-coached team, is that they know what they need to do, and they do it. And it's hard to argue. And you and I were talking kind of off air, and I've talked to people about it, because everybody's already complaining that, oh, here we go again, the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's like, why do we have a problem with greatness? Look, I get it. I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs too, but you also have to acknowledge, yes, like when the Patriots were good, like they're just the best team. And if you want to beat the best team, do it. Yeah. Otherwise, they're the best team, and you shouldn't be complaining about greatness.
This was still a close game.
Oh, it was very close.
29-29 with like 6 minutes to go.
A typical Chiefs-Bills playoff game. They're always like classics like this.
Right, and the field goal to put them ahead, and then the Bills had their chance, and it all came down to a 4th down play that he kind of like, it wasn't really a Hail Mary, but he did kind of throw it up in the air.
Looked like a lame duck.
But the guy had it. He touched it. I mean, he was there, and he was falling on the ground, and he couldn't come up with it. So, and that was it. That was the ball game, and they were able to run it out from there. So, this I can't say that the Chiefs, ran over the Bills. The Bills were right there at the end, but regardless, the Chiefs found a way to win.
They did. They always do.
You can't count them out.
Yeah, I see a lot of the chatter is like, we should be very thankful for that one Super Bowl, which was the Bengals and Rams, because it was just a nice break from these other typical teams we've seen in the Super Bowl the last few years. Right. So, but look, so that sets up the Super Bowl 59 matchup between the Chiefs and the Eagles. Their second time in 3 years that they'll have played each other. Obviously, they played 2 years ago in Arizona for Super Bowl 57, where the Chiefs won that game, starting their current, back-to-back Super Bowl streak. Can they do the three-peat? We will see. We'll make our picks on our video. I'm just going to say right now, I think the three-peats, it's possible.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And I can talk more about that three-peat here in a minute. But I saw a graphic earlier today that said Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid is the winningest coach of both franchises. I think I've heard that before.
Yeah.
But it just, and now they're meeting in a Super Bowl. So that's just very ironic, I think.
I think it's kind of crazy, but I mean, shoot, Andy Reid now, if he wins this Super Bowl especially, you got to put him in that. He's already kind of been in that conversation with Belichick, but to do what he's done and to win 3 straight, I think would out-top even anything Bill Belichick did.
Yeah.
So you would have to put Andy Reid now in the conversation of, is he the greatest coach of all time? So
he should be right up there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Now, talking about the three-peat, I saw another graphic today which reminded me of something. But everybody keeps saying, oh, this is going to be the first three-peat. And it is, of the Super Bowl era.
Right.
But
that's all anybody cares about, Randy.
Yes.
Unless you're a football historian who can go back beyond Super Bowl I.
Well, yeah, they won the first 2 Super Bowls, but what people don't remember is that they won the NFL championship the year before that first, Super Bowl I.
Who's that?
The Packers.
Oh, okay. You didn't mention the Packers yet.
Well, Super Bowl I.
I'm just saying, you were jumping the gun.
Yes.
But so the Green Bay Packers, yes.
The Packers have three-peated for NFL titles, and they've done it twice. They did it back in 1929, 30, and 31 also under Curly Lambeau. And then they did it with Vince Lombardi, 65, 66, and 67. Those last 2 were Super Bowls. So, the whole thing about a three-peat is not unusual. It's been done before. Nobody's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row. Correct. But as far as the whole three-peat thing, it's been done before. The Packers did it twice.
I hope more people use that little asterisk, because I know, like, when fans nowadays talk about it, they want to tend to, like, not count anything that happened before.
They don't remember anything before this.
Well,
they don't know football existed before the first Super Bowl, and even that is ancient history.
Fair.
So, going back from 66 to 1920, they have no idea what's going on. That's why they need football historians to tell
That's
them
fair.
what they're not.
Because I mean,
aware
don't
of.
worry. I mean, I get it. Also, like why we would break it up into the Super Bowl era. I mean, it's just been a whole different kind of football. I mean, you can even say the last 15 years have been a different brand of football than
Right.
the years before that. So it is what it is. It's just a weird way to delineate between football eras.
Right.
So it's fine. Whatever. We know that this isn't the first three-peat, but I mean, it would still be in this climate of the NFL where there's supposed to be parity, where it's supposed to be, different teams every year, and it's really hard to have a quote-unquote dynasty, even though we kind of still end up with a dynasty every decade, it seems. But right now it's the Chiefs, and they're doing something maybe nobody's ever done before in this era.
The Dolphins went to 3 straight Super Bowls. They lost the first one, won the next 2.
Yeah, that could have been a nice
Bills have been to 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, the Bills, you had a chance to have a 4-peat, but you couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
So, hey, we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows if it's never happened in the Super Bowl era, then maybe it doesn't happen again. Maybe. But I think the Chiefs, this is the first time anybody's ever, because isn't it the other teams that have had the 2, back to back, never even made it to the Super Bowl to try a 3-peat, right?
I believe you're right. Yes, the
So-
Steelers did it twice, and
The Cowboys did it a couple times.
Yeah,
The Broncos went back to
Broncos
back,
did.
never got back.
Yep.
Patriots did it, didn't get back. They did it a couple times, they went back to back. So,
Right.
yeah. So this will be interesting.
Yep, sure will.
So add it to the many storylines.
All right, you want to talk about some other NFL news?
Yep, we got a lot of head coaching stuff to talk about.
It's so many all at one time. It seemed like
It all kind of happened like in one fell swoop. Because last
I
week we
know,
talked
I-
about the Bears hiring Ben Johnson officially.
right.
And then I think ever since we turned the microphones off after that, it was just an avalanche
coach
of
after
coaching
coach.
news.
The one that surprised me the most was former Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll being hired as the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders at the age of 73.
Yeah. I think I saw a thing that had a list of the coaches, like the greatest coaches of all time, and what age they stopped coaching at. And it was like 62, 63, 64. And here's Pete Carroll, 10 years older than any of these great coaches, coming back to coach again. I mean, we'll see. I think this makes the Raiders an instant, not a competitor, but it makes it interesting. I think, especially in that AFC West, which is now you got, obviously, Andy Reid, the best coach in the league right now.
Right.
Then you have Sean Payton, who's won a Super Bowl before. You got Jim Harbaugh, who's won a national championship in college football, and he's turned a couple of NFL programs around. And now you got Pete Carroll, a Super Bowl winning coach. That AFC West is just stacked with
but
head coaching.
In my mind, Pete Carroll is just name recognition right now.
Woof.
Does he still have
Whoa.
it as a coach at 73?
I think he does.
How long has he been out of the game?
A year.
Just a year? I
Just
thought
a
it was
year.
longer than
Nope,
that.
been out a year.
Well,
Yep. Wow.
I
How
don't-
out of touch are you?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to.
I think this is a
most teams.
great hire for an organization that is just one of the most dysfunctional, and we'll talk about a dysfunctional organization in a second. But I think
But
Pete,
they've got Tom Brady.
I
as a
think
part
that
owner.
I think he's part of the reason why maybe you pull a Pete Carroll. You get a nice veteran coach in there, and he in his press conference, I believe, said we're not into a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan. We're going for it now. The Raiders got money. They got a top 5 draft pick. I think the Raiders are going to be a team to watch out for next year. I think at the least Pete Carroll's going to make them competitive,
No,
and they're not going to be a doormat. So I'm very interested to see that kind of come to fruition.
Yeah. All right. Former Detroit Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is now the head coach of the New York Jets. Glenn played defensive back for the Jets from 1994 to 2001. You were watching part of his press
Yeah,
conference.
I thought he did.
I didn't watch it.
He had a
so-
great because they finally did it yesterday. I was looking all weekend because he got announced last week as the coach, and I was watching all weekend to find out when they did this press conference. He did it yesterday with their new GM that they hired, whose name escapes me, but he seems like he'll be a great coach. He said all the right things. He gave a couple of great sound bites, and I just think he's got the right attitude to try to turn that organization around. I watched enough of some of it to see he thanked Dan Campbell and a couple other coaches he had coached with previously. So I thought that was cool. He just seemed to have the right attitude. Even when he was asked about Aaron Rodgers, he's like, "Look, we talked to Aaron, and everybody knows going forward. We have our plan, and we got the guys we want, and we'll see if it works out." So I don't think he's going to mess around with Aaron Rodgers or any of that drama. So I think that's going to be a great move, and I'm looking forward to watching the Jets this year and just seeing how Aaron Glenn does.
Okay. Lions wide receivers coach Antoine Randall L. Is leaving the Lions to join Ben Johnson with the Bears, and he's going to be the assistant head coach and wide receivers coach over there now.
I guess you can't blame him. I mean, it's a nice little promotion, assistant head coach. I don't know, and obviously still working with Ben Johnson's probably a thing, and it's just I just hate it. We talked about it a little bit last week. It just kind of kept getting worse this last week, where Lions fans have been dogging Ben Johnson and calling him a traitor. Oh, we're fine with Aaron Glenn because he didn't go to a division rival. And look, I'm not happy that he went to a division rival either.
Absolutely not.
But the vitriol that Lions fans have put towards Ben Johnson, I think, is shameful and a disgrace.
Yeah.
I'm really upset with a lot of Lions fans for just this Benedict Johnson, narrative. Oh yeah, like that Lions syndicate guy. I can't stand him. But look, I wish him the best. I really do. I don't think the Bears are going to amount to much, even with Ben Johnson there. So it is what it is. I'm just tired of Lions fans because we lost 2 coordinators to head coaching jobs, and that's the first time since Don Shula back, and we talked about that last week.
Right.
So we lost 2 in a week, and it's only happened once in 50 years. So it's like a new thing for us Lions fans, but other teams have lost coordinators before and been just fine. Yeah. I wish Lions fans would just be a little more level-headed about it. Let's just move on. It's cool. The Lions ended up today or yesterday hiring a new offensive coordinator, so we won't have to get into that, but it's done, and let's just move forward.
You got to play the hand you're dealt.
Yeah.
It would have been great to have kept both of them, but we lost both. Now we've got to replace them, and hopefully these guys might do even better. Who knows?
And the main thing is you still have Dan Campbell and you have Brad Holmes. You lose
Right.
one or both of those guys, then we can have a discussion about losing our minds.
Yeah.
So,
okay, the Cowboys promoted Brian Schottenheimer to head coach. He had been the team's offensive coordinator, and he's the son of head coach Marty Schottenheimer, who was with the Chiefs and a few other teams over the years.
What a name to just come out of left field. Everybody's been dogging the Cowboys for this hire.
Yep.
Look, okay, you promoted a guy from within, but it's still within the organization that the team hasn't done anything.
Dysfunctional organization.
I think from the top, Jerry Jones he had an opportunity to go get a legitimate head coach or keep the decent head coach he had and just try to. How about you pay for some players? How about you go out and you missed your shot at getting Derrick Henry? That would have been nice this last year for you. Why don't you actually make some football moves instead of just kind of meandering and then at the last second you paid Dak and CeeDee Lamb a crap ton of money to ruin your books. But I don't know. I saw a video of a Cowboys fan saying he's quitting being a Cowboys fan. He's transitioning to being a Lions fan.
Yeah,
Right. I don't know if it's real or not, but I saw it. It was out there. But I don't know. Schottenheimer was just a name nobody heard over the coaching cycle. It's like Jerry Jones didn't want to try to pursue any of these other coaches.
It's his newest puppet as head coach.
I guess.
I don't think he really wants to win as much as he says he wants to win. I think he just enjoys being the owner of the most profitable franchise in the world.
Jerry, it's time to quit and get into acting. Get back on Landman. I still have to watch that show, but your clip was great. Stick with that.
Clip.
Did you? Wasn't it good?
It was. Okay.
He acted his butt off in that scene. Come on now.
Yeah.
Against John Hamm and Billy Bob. Come on.
I'm sure it wasn't all in one take, so you don't know.
Oh, come on.
You don't know what.
It doesn't have to be in one take, but it was still a powerful monologue, Randy.
Monologue.
Go watch Landman on Paramount Plus.
Sorry, I don't do dramas. But that was kind of a.
What do you mean? This podcast is a drama.
All right. After initially turning down the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job, Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen did sign with the Jaguars after the team fired their general manager, Trent Baalke.
Yeah, Baalke.
Yeah, I guess he went back. He said,
"Oh, what a crazy story!
You're keeping the same offensive coordinator or GM? No, I don't want the job." And he goes back, and I guess he was ready to sign a new contract extension with the Bucs, and then the Jaguars turn around, fire their general manager, and he goes, "Oh, okay, I'll take the job."
Yeah, and then apparently when the Buccaneers were looking for him to sign that contract because they were going to make him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league, they couldn't find him.
Oh,
he wasn't in the building. He snuck off to go do this.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of some of the drama behind it. Supposedly, Adam Schefter on Pat McAfee had a big long 3-minute thing about this. It's a crazy story. I don't think I've ever heard about. Well, I mean, we've heard some crazy coaching stuff before, but this was just wild. Like, he went in, oh, I'm going to withdraw my name from the job. Then they fire their general manager. Then they get back into the building, and then they sign him to the contract. Like, then he's got the embarrassing press conference I was showing you clips of.
Yeah.
Which, look, that doesn't tell me one way or the other if this guy's going to be a good football coach or not. It's just a little bit of a cringy press conference.
He reminds me a little bit of the Miami coach. What's his name?
Oh, Mike McDaniel?
Yeah, kind of a nerd, the kind of guy you look at him and go, that's not head coaching material, but he's done a good job while he's there. So that's kind of what this guy reminds me of. Another football geek or football nerd.
You could just never judge a coach on his pregame presser. And I'll point at an example that we know all too well. How about when Dan Campbell got hired and everybody was roasted? Yeah. Like,
who's laughing now?
Right. So I just, you can't judge a coach like that. He might very well be a great coach. Mm-hmm. Maybe he won't be. Maybe he'll stink. We don't know yet. I do find his press conference was very cringy, and it made me go, I think he's going to stink. But again, we haven't seen who's drafted. We haven't seen what kind of coaching staff he's put together yet. Everybody just needs to chill. I think he's going to stink, but everybody needs to chill.
Have you seen the graphic where they show the Super Bowl logo and the team that won it, where the logo had the primary colors of the team?
That's been a big conspiracy theory the last 4 years.
Have you seen what next year's is?
It's not the real logo, though. That's what I want to tell people. Stop sharing this. It's not next year's logo. They haven't unveiled it yet.
Okay, well, I fell for it then.
You did fall for it, you idiot. God. Hey, it's blue, which means the Lions are going to be in it, everybody. If you believe for a second that the color scheme predicts the Super Bowl matchup, you, my friend, are an idiot. Okay?
Well, tell me the story again about how we were at the Pro Football Hall of Fame and you designed a Super Bowl ring for the Lions.
We're not going to save it for next year? Look, when we were at the Pro Football Hall of Fame a year or two ago.
It was a couple of years ago.
It was like shortly after Dan Campbell, I want to say, got hired. Because they had the build your own Super Bowl ring, and I was like, okay, if it takes like 3 years for Dan Campbell to turn the Lions around, that would be Super Bowl 58. And I was like, well, I'll give him a couple more years on top of that because the odds of him actually going in 3 years and winning, I don't know if that'll happen. So I chose Super Bowl 60 and made a Lions Super Bowl ring. We have the picture somewhere. I have to dig it up. I swear to God I did this.
Yeah, you posted it on social media.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl 60.
Yeah.
And I predicted that's when the Lions were going to win their Super Bowl. And we'll see.
We shall see.
We shall see. Now it's in play. It's all officially in play, Randy.
It's on.
I'm not going to get the Super Bowl champ tattoo like some Lions idiot did. No. Don't do that. That's stupid. Also, we never talked about the curse of the Rocky statue. Apparently, a bunch of Washington fans put a bunch of Washington gear on the Rocky statue before the NFC Championship game. And that's the 5th time that an opposing team, through various sports, I want to say, I can't remember all of them. There were like 5 instances where the Rocky statue got desecrated with the incoming team's memorabilia, and they all lost those games.
Wow.
So don't mess with the Rocky statue if we have to play Philadelphia. We get cursed.
Yeah. We've had enough of curses.
Okay.
So
speaking of cursed.
So that leaves only one head coaching vacancy in the NFL, and that's the New Orleans Saints. Any idea who you think might get that job?
The rumor is the Eagles offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, former backup Lions quarterback.
Okay.
But
so they got to wait until after the Super Bowl for that.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean,
unlike the Bears that got our coach during a bye week.
Yeah. Well, we were eliminated, so
right.
Okay.
But I still don't like the interviewing.
I think they need to change that rule. I do agree. I think all the coaching stuff has to wait till after the Super Bowl. I think they just need to do that. It only seems fair.
Yep.
Do all the interviews at one time. So, I don't know, but that is what it is. We'll see who the Saints end up hiring. If they've waited this long, it's making me wonder if it is somebody either on the Chiefs staff or on the Eagles staff, or maybe they've been waiting for like Cliff Kingsbury out of the Commanders to interview. So we'll see.
Okay. This last story, every week on our podcast, we try and have 3 things, in our opening. We talk about 3 different stories that we're going to have on the podcast. And I only could come up with 2 this week. It's been really slow. I mean, the head coaching stuff, yes, and the matchup for the Super Bowl, yes. But other than that, boy, it's been really slim pickings. So it wasn't until we sat down here just before we started recording that we were going through, social media and sports sites, and trying to figure out what can our third story be. You found this one, and I thought it was really great.
Yeah.
About the Denver Broncos and some new initiative called All In, All Covered.
Yeah, apparently it is the single largest philanthropic Gesundheit investment in Broncos history. They are it's a 4-year program they're going to do, and essentially they're going to help give 15,516 Rydell Axiom helmets to every single player who plays tackle football in the state of Colorado. That includes 277 Colorado high schools. This is these helmets have a 8 to 10 year lifespan. The 4-year subscription to Insight Analytics for each school, so that's kind of cool. There's going to be a 6 caravan tour stops in 2025. So I'm sure they're going to go around the state and promote all this stuff. Right. And they're also going to give out 277 Rydell sideline devices to these schools. So each school's getting a device to run analytics, probably on their helmets, and whatever else they need on the sideline. It's a pretty cool initiative.
It's awesome. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it until you found it just before we recorded, and I think it's awesome to do that for every high school football player in the state of Colorado.
Heck yeah.
Over 15,000 kids and 270-some schools. Man.
And these are not cheap helmets either. So they're nice,
like,
nice helmets.
$300 a piece, maybe?
I think putting that kind of investment into your state like that is awesome. So as soon as I saw that and I saw the infographic, I was like, well, this has got to be the thing we talk about.
Yeah. I'm thinking that more NFL teams are going to do this. The other teams will follow suit. They'll come up with their own catchy name. Not all in, all covered, but it'll be something similar, and you're going to hear more about this because other teams will do this.
So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but Damani Leach, he is the Broncos president and Denver Broncos Foundation board president. This is a quote he had about the initiative. The Denver Broncos and the Denver Broncos Foundation are thrilled to continue growing the game of football through All In, All Covered. After helping Colorado sanction girls high school flag football in 2024, we view this legacy initiative as an opportunity to further invest in future generations by creating equitable access to the sport. Through great partners like Rydell and the CHSAA, we are all in on positively impacting the landscape of youth sports in Colorado. So I think
that's just
is really awesome. And they got more statements on their X page, even from Carrie Walton Penner, who is the Broncos owner and Denver Broncos Foundation board chair, who said, the Denver Broncos Foundation is proud to launch All In, All Covered, a game-changing program designed to have a lasting impact on Colorado youth for years to come. Aligned with our foundation values of equity and innovation, the first-of-its-kind initiative will positively influence how schools and governing bodies prioritize student-athlete health and safety. All In, All Covered demonstrates our deep commitment to community-wide collaboration and would not be possible without Rydell, the CHSAA, and our organization working together to bring this to life. So it's just a really cool thing. I hope more NFL teams do something like this.
I think they will.
Even if you got a big college, like it'd be cool if college and NFL teams helped out, because now college programs are making a crap ton of money too. Give back to your state, and there's always the narrative around the youth football taking hits every year because of parents being worried about injuries and the equipment that they would need is pricey. And I think helping out schools like that is awesome and would help parents out and probably ease parents, a little bit like, hey, I know that my child is going to have one of the best helmets on the market to play football this year. Like that would as a parent, that would make me feel a lot easier. Yes, we know injuries are a part of the sport, but it's, helping prevent some of that with the right equipment, will do a lot.
Okay. But the only thing we've got left to talk about today is...
I know, this is weird. This has been a very light week.
It is. Normally, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And I'm sure people will be able to point out, well, you missed this UFL story, or you missed this.
Well, it's not like we never do like a lot of transaction stories.
Right.
Or teams doing tryouts. Yes, the indoor leagues are having some of their tryouts and stuff. So
we don't cover a lot of that.
I'm sure we missed some stuff. Let us know if we missed something you actually think we should have covered. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, otherwise, it's a very light news week for us.
It's unusual because we never have a problem finding at least 3 different topics. And normally it's like NFL, CFL, and college, or arena and CFL. There's enough going on all year long. But boy, this week has really been slow.
Yep.
So we're going to move right into today's birthdays for January 28th. My sister Barb, happy birthday, Barb. It's her birthday today. Quarterback Dante Culpepper turns 48 years old today. He played his college football at Central Florida, and he was the 11th overall pick in the 1999 NFL draft by the Minnesota Vikings. He played 11 NFL seasons, first with the Vikings from 99 to 2005, was with the Miami Dolphins in 2006, the Raiders in 2007, the Lions from 2008 to 2009, and then in 2010, he was with the UFL's Sacramento Mountain Lions. This was the original United Football League, not the one that's out there today.
Right.
But, the Sacramento Mountain Lions, I remember him playing and watching.
He was the big name.
Yes, he was. Wasn't Dennis Green his coach there?
I think so, yeah.
I believe so, yes. So happy birthday, Dante Culpepper, former Detroit Lions quarterback. All right, we do have a number of obituaries today. This is where we take a moment and we honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first obituary is that of Walter Wally Dempsey, a linebacker in the Canadian Football League and the World Football League. He's passed away at the age of 80. Dempsey played college football at Washington State and went on to play for the CFL's Saskatchewan Roughriders from 1965 to 1969, winning a Grey Cup title in 1966 with the team. He spent one season with the BC Lions in 1970 before returning to play in Saskatchewan again in 1971 and 1972. He finished his playing career in the World Football League with the Memphis Southmen and the Philadelphia Bell, both in 1974.
Our next obituary is that, and I apologize if I mispronounce this gentleman's last name, Jerry Mazzanti is how I'm going to pronounce it. There's two Z's. It's Mazzanti. You said it could be
Mazzanti?
Mazzanti.
Because when you say pizza, it's TZ with two Z's, so I'm not sure. But we'll go with Mazzanti today.
Okay, I'm going to go with Mazzanti, a defensive end in the NFL for 3 seasons, has passed away at the age of 84. Mazzanti played college football at Arkansas and was selected in the 16th round of the 1962 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He was also selected in the 25th round of the 1963 American Football League Draft by the San Diego Chargers. He signed with the Eagles and played for the team for 1 season in 1963. He also played for the Detroit Lions in 1966 and the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1967. After football, he became a lawyer and was appointed as a circuit judge for Arkansas's 10th Judicial District by then Governor Bill Clinton, a position he held for 2 decades until his retirement.
All right, our next obituary is that of Tommy Brasher, an assistant coach, a longtime assistant coach in college and in the NFL. He has passed away at the age of 84. Brasher played offensive lineman and linebacker in college at Arkansas and went on to be an assistant coach at Arkansas as well as Virginia Tech, Northeast Louisiana, which is now Louisiana Monroe, and at MSU between 1970 and 1971.
SMU. You said MSU.
Oh, SMU.
Yep.
Okay. It's these glasses. They're dirty. Let's see. He also spent a season as the defensive coordinator for the Shreveport Steamers in the World Football League in 1975. He spent another 27 seasons between 1982 and 2015 as an assistant coach in the NFL with the New England Patriots, Philadelphia Eagles, Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Seattle Seahawks, and the Kansas City Chiefs. In 2015, he was the oldest assistant coach in the NFL at the age of 75. That's when he was with the Chiefs. Then he spent 2 more seasons with the Chiefs working on special projects. Brasher was inducted into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame in 2022.
Our next obituary is that of Calvin Jones, a running back in the NFL for 3 seasons, has passed away at the age of 54. Jones played college football at Nebraska and was selected in the 3rd round of the 1994 NFL Draft by the Los Angeles Raiders. He played 2 seasons for the Los Angeles/Oakland Raiders in 1994 to 1995 and finished his playing career with the Green Bay Packers in 1996, winning Super Bowl 31 with the Packers. After that, he played for an indoor football team called the Omaha Beef. Jones was then inducted into the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame in 2004 and the Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame in 2019.
And finally today, our last obituary is that of Don McCall, a running back in the NFL and the World Football League. He's passed away at the age of 80. McCall played college football at USC and was selected in the 5th round of the 1967 NFL Draft by the New Orleans Saints. He played for the Saints in 1967 and 1968, then played one season with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1969 before returning to the Saints for a final season in 1970. McCall finished his playing career in the World Football League with the Southern California Sun in 1974 and the San Antonio Wings in 1975. I figured we had plenty of time to do lots of obituaries today. I normally try to keep it to 4 or less, but today was kind of
slow
on news
day.
So
Yep.
slow on news, big on obituaries. All right, upcoming events calendar. This Thursday, January 30th, the East-West Shrine Game will be played at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Saturday, February 1st, the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Sunday, February 2nd, the Pro Bowl games in Orlando. And Sunday, February 9th, Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans featuring the Chiefs versus the Eagles. Tuesday, February 11th is going to be our last show before we take a break for about a month. We should be back right around March 11th, the start of the...
So we'll get about 3 weeks off.
Yeah. Everybody needs a little rest. This has been a long season between all the CFL coverage we did this year and NFL and everything. I'm ready for a little break. And then Saturday, February 22nd, the HBCU Legacy Bowl in New Orleans. That's usually the last college all-star game of the year. And that is it for this week's show.
Yep,
Anything else?
Nothing breaking. Still no Saints head coach news. So, just a slow news week that was very rare for us.
Yeah. Yep.
So, very light show this week. Makes me nervous about next week, what we're going to have to talk about.
Yeah. If this is slow after having a weekend of NFL games, what's going to be when it's just the Pro Bowl games and a couple of college
You might as well
games.
throw in a few more obituaries then next week.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll see what I can find. All right, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. We just can't speak. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow The World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, so you can simply ask your Alexa device to play The World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube page. Just enter The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @The World of Football in that YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation. And before we wrap up, I do want to say, hey, everybody, go over to our friend Royce's YouTube channel. Last night I saw he was sitting at 966 subscribers. So he's about 34 subscribers away last I checked. Viking Wax Press. Go subscribe to his channel. He's doing some great stuff over there. We actually had a nice little chit-chat with him last night.
We did. We got online, and the three of us had a little conversation for about 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it was a nice little conversation. Talking about maybe doing a little bit of collab here in the next few weeks. So once those details are kind of finalized, I'm sure we'll make an announcement, or you could just be on the lookout on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
So
sounds good. All right, and remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo talking about football. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I can't believe this was under 45 minutes.
Woohoo! We'll see you all next week.